이것이 하늘의 검!
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to game number 3 coming up. Our first 3-game series of the KeSPA Cup so far, and it's exciting after Longzhu mounting a slow but steady methodical comeback in game 2.
Yeah, it was, and they played a pretty middle-range team composition where it had a lot of gears, and it definitely had the ability to play hyper-aggressive, but it also had a lot of durability when it would come to the mid-game, and they had a lot of interesting item pickups that you would expect to see from them. And honestly, when it approached like the 20-minute mark, it seemed like they were trying to do this weird desperation attempt where they were trying to entice JINAIR to try to make an attempt to stop Baron or come into Baron, and it was never really working. And then I feel like they made a very desperation Baron play that actually worked out, and off of that, they suddenly became an entirely different team, and they actually just started knocking down towers like dominoes, and JINAIR couldn't respond to it.
Baron does transform your team with a purple buff, but it really transformed Longzhu into a team that once they had that Baron, they took the next 2 inhibitors and then slowly and steadily won the race soon thereafter. Now, coming in here to our final game of the series, we've seen a lot of reassuring signs from JINAIR. The AD carry position, Teddy looks like he's holding his own, comes out of lane with CS advantages, great curtain calls, but really, I guess last game, Pure really put up an MVP performance on that Braum, just always blocking the Jin shots and really being the big shield of the North that his team needed.
Yeah, the Braum shields against the Jin ultimates were what saved the game quite a few times. And I mean, even his ultimate to keep winged out of the Baron pit, preventing the steal, was really, really important and crucial.
We are getting ready for game number 3 coming up. One of these teams will be one step closer to Busan. One of these teams will be going home. And for both of them, a lot to prove after their performances last year. Who will ascend to the legacy they deserve? Game number 3. Picks and bans starts right now. He's focusing on Corki ban in game 1 that didn't happen. Here's the Rise ban first and foremost, the champion that we won't be seeing. Nidalee, Syndra, probably, like we said, foregone conclusions at this point. Might be seeing those eventually. And the Trundle ban coming out, want to keep that out of Sohwan's very capable hands.
And there's the Syndra ban or they're highlighting it right now. But probably going to see that because there's no reason. I mean, if you can't play Syndra though, there's a problem with that. And so if you're blue side and you're banning Syndra, something's definitely very, very wrong there.
I can't play Syndra, Nick. Is that a champion I should add to my pool?
Yes.
Okay, well there you heard it there first. Nidalee, of course, also banned out there, so no question about that. The Olaf ban, we're probably going to keep seeing that, although I know you had some very strong things to say about Olaf and his contributions to teams and worlds. A couple of patches later, and it seems like he's consistently banned out.
Olaf's a very weird champion. If he gets ahead, there's no champion that gets as ahead as Olaf, and he does have the ability to just plow through and end you. I, however, absolutely detest that sort of belief or play style in any sort of strategy game. So I am not a huge advocate of that. But anyways,
he's out of there.
Rounding out the pick bans, Jace, yes.
Yep, Jace out of there. Now, Jace being gone means that Sohwan will not have the opportunity to play that as an aggressive matchup into whatever Expression chooses. But it'll be cool to see how that matchup works because we've seen it go both ways. Sohwan crushes it game 1, Expression crushes it game 2, and now we get a chance to see the final boss of the top lane. The first few picks come in.
Yep, and first pick Rek'Sai, a little bit surprising, but definitely, I mean, it's not like there's too many champions that either one of these teams want to first pick that is just like, oh, they have to get their hands on it.
First pick has been junglers a couple of these times. Last game, I guess it was Jace, but coming in here, what are we really looking to see? So we've seen safe mid lane picks, and that, you know, Malzahar last game. Do you think Malzahar is a pick that they want to go back to, or is that sort of like a one-off, oh, we can still play this champion?
Well, with Longzhu again going for another control mage, they had Karma in game 1, and I don't think that honestly it was Frozen's fault at all why they lost that game from a lane point of view. So they're going back to the control mage again, and Echo again up there in the top lane. But there's definitely still a lot of ways that this draft can go. And I mean, we can almost expect that with the heavy AP from Karma and the magical damage from Karma and Echo, that Crash is probably again going to be on a physical damage jungler.
Keep an eye on that. Victor and Jin are the lock-in, so no question about that. Just giving Teddy the champion he's most comfortable with. Kuzan familiar with that matchup versus Karma in the mid lane, so that's what it's going to be. Next 2 picks being hovered over, Lee Sin and Ashe for Longzhu. Fury doesn't seem to want to change from his AD carry either, so lots of consistency there, but it'll be a welcome sight to see Crash back on that Lee Sin and see if he could really make those plays that didn't quite come to fruition in game number 1. There's the lock-ins on Lee Sin and Ashe.
Yep, so they have the Ashe pick again, and there is the physical damage jungler inside of Lee Sin. They are keeping the counter pick for either support or mid lane, so that is still a very real threat.
It'd be actually really cool to see Pure pull that out and turn it around and say, hey, it's a support Karma, now we get to counter pick your Victor. But correct me if I'm wrong, but there might not be too many counter picks that work very well against the mid laner that can just wave clear.
Yeah, Victor is a versus all mid laner. It's not like he doesn't have some matchups that are obviously less favorable for him, but he is one of the mids that says, hey, I can actually go up against everyone, and he is one of the strongest scaling mid laners in the game. So to see Kuzan on him again is pretty acceptable. I don't think that his Victor is, you know, absolutely amazing, although he has had some okay performances on it so far.
Well, there's the last 2 picks locked in there for the JINAIR Green Wings. It's Nami and Kennen. That Kennen will be able to be played aggressively by Sohwan up there in the top lane, which leads us into the final pick for Longzhu, hovering over a LeBlanc. Now, would that be a reasonable pick there for Frozen in the mid lane, or you want to switch that up and maybe see a support picked after all?
Frozen might actually pick it. There is a way to play around it with not taking Gravity Field on Victor and just allocating all your points into Death Ray and your Q. But it would definitely be an edge in LeBlanc's favor very slightly. And now we see that he's highlighting actually onto the Malzahar again.
There's a Vel'Koz there for a second, but yep. Malzahar very much more familiar, and as the clock ticks down, certainly looks like that is the final pick for Longzhu back in the mid lane for Frozen.
Yep, and there Malzahar is for 2 games in a row. And, I mean, this time around, though, it's gonna be like they can have a little bit more magic resistance. And the Rek'Sai with the Victor is gonna be a little bit more effective, I think, than the Elise. So maybe there is a chance for a little bit more aggression, but also blue side Victor means that Victor gets the blue buff.
Very, very important there, of course, because it lets him stay in lane and continue to farm until he gets his Hex Core. So we'll see how effective that is. It's going to be cool to see the Winged with Kuzan and Winged with Sohwan and see how that those duos work out. I'm just really excited to see Sohwan back in competitive play in a tournament that has been very, very action-packed as an aggressive top laner. Excited to see what he has to bring out to the table, of course. Both teams fighting for their lives, almost $100,000 on the line, and that is a lot of money to fight for. A trip to Busan, as well as the pride of revitalizing both of these teams' performances. Game number 3 about to be underway, so if you guys have a favorite team, get out there and let them know. Both of these teams have very active Twitter accounts, you can follow them, Facebook as well. Let them know that you're cheering for them. This is, or rather these are, the JINAIR Green Wings, Sohwan, Winged, Kuzan, Teddy, and Che coming out in what could be their final game of the tournament, could slingshot them on to the next round. And this is Longzhu Gaming. Expression, Crash, Frozen, Fury, and Pure. And after these initial drafts, we'll get a chance to see them in this final game. So like I said, get out there, let everyone know. Hashtag KeSPA Cup, or just tweet at KeSPA or at KeSPAEN. Let your friends know, because we are getting into our final game of this series. JINAIR Green Wings versus Longzhu. Game number 3 starts right now. Huge cheers from both sides on the crowd as we get into our final game between these two teams of the night. Spreading out into that hashtag big fan across Summoner's Rift and waiting to see what they can accomplish. Nice poke there.
Yeah.
Okay, Teddy down to half HP and pushed a little bit further away. Support Karma now, not going to be seeing it in the mid lane like we did in game number 1. So what do you think that swap really does for this Longzhu team?
Karma is still one of the bully supports that does exist, except the only difference is now is that the shields are not going to be as gigantic. There's not going to be the healing component that comes out from Karma, but that's okay because the trade-off is you get the Malzahar. But the only thing that I'm worried about for actually JINAIR is that Malzahar, against the composition that they have right now, if Kennen doesn't have flash or Kennen can't find ways into the backline, Malzahar is going to shut everything down with Rylai's.
Does have to get there first, so we'll see how this early game transpires. And it looks like Pure and Fury combo going to deny a Krug's start and put out a little bit of extra damage on not only the minion wave, but also hitting Jay.
And a little bit of poke. Never hurt anyone except for Che, apparently.
Well, it is going to be chunked out further down to half health back behind this minion wave. Well, it'll be interesting to see who is able to take this out first and get their push on. Now, this is a point that was talked about a lot during the World streams about shoving the wave and what this does and how some teams actually fare so well when they do just shove that wave instantly into turret.
Yeah, and I mean, Kuzan, by the way, starting this game off the same way again with a very, very strong level 1 against Frozen's Malzahar.
I mean, Frozen, maybe you just got to hang back a little bit more because he is being very pressured back to his turret. And Kuzan unafraid to play that forward in lane because you don't really have to worry about ganks just yet.
Yep. And you can notice, by the way, that Kuzan is able to be a lot more liberal with his mana this time around because there's not a Monolith champion as his jungler, or Mana champion as his jungler. Given that Wing does not need that blue buff, that means that Kuzan can use all the mana that he wants, levels 1 through 3, to really pressure out Frozen and try to make a skewed recall time occur. And then he can get the blue buff to still stay in the lane and sustain into Hexcore.
Should be seeing him in that mid lane for quite a while. Now, Frozen and Malzahar, not a champion, a stranger to pushing. Looks like he's going to try to get that on as well, but Kuzan, like you said, will have as much mana as he needs. Recall coming in from Wing's Rek'Sai. That means that he gets to head back to base, come back into the lane, and hand that blue buff back off to Kuzan. Pure and Fury, though, really punishing Jay. Does have that sustain available, but certainly is taking a lot of that poke pressure.
Yeah, and right now, they are definitely in the driver's seat, and Crash nowhere around, but that's okay because Winged is not going to be around either.
He's looking for plants and fruits in the river, LS.
Yeah, he's looking for them.
They're not there yet.
Yeah, not yet.
They're coming a little bit later on, but the roam just trying to scout things out and see what is where. And I don't think we'll get too much information off that, but he will put wards in the river to let him know what's happening.
And it's like probably we're going to have a handoff on to Kuzan very shortly.
My God, Shay just keeps taking so much punishment down there. Q after Q continuing to land. That is a lot of gold from that Spell Thief. Going over to Pure, positioning up the top lane. Crash waiting in the wings. See if Sohwan will scout him out. Looks like he's coming down. Crash decides against it and heads back to base.
Yep. And still no blue buff handed off to Victor, and I guess that's primarily because Kuzan's actually still keeping his mana relatively healthy. Frozen has to be a little bit careful here. That was a misstep, actually. He's too far. Okay. They didn't pull the trigger.
Gets away with it. Actually has no mana at the same time. He's going to get more back from the Malefic Visions, switching between minions. Okay, wow, he actually just gets so much mana back from that, killing the entire wave. Walks right into him. Okay, well, that's a good way to force the flash. Face checking into a jungler in the dark scary brushes, forcing out that summoner from Frozen.
Yep. And I actually don't like how long they waited to give Kuzan this blue buff. And that's primarily because if you look at a CS, he has 38. We're approaching the 6-minute mark. This is right around the time where if Victor is CSing pretty much near perfectly, he has enough money for Hexcore. And so you're handing him the blue buff at the point where he would normally just recall and get the Hexcore. So to me, it seems a little bit inefficient. especially because Frozen's going to come hot off of a recall, and actually he's going to get handed the blue buff as well.
Well, in order to get that blue buff, Kuzan actually lost a wave at the turret, so some big question marks there in bottom lane. Che and Teddy are actually just being pressured out of their minds. Fury and Pure really turning it on.
Yep. And they're under a lot of pressure right now, and Crash could actually potentially come down, and yeah, he does ping the golems. So I don't know if he thinks that maybe Winged is there right now, but there's definitely a real possibility to get a double kill right here.
Teddy, Che very low. Che out of mana, so no more sustained. Crash around the backside, and with this wave evaporating, I'm not sure if this is necessarily the time. Wow, if that Q had hit, there would have been some difficult decisions to be made. But both Teddy and Che both have their summoners completely available, and Wing is here to defend, so that should save them long enough to either wave clear or send them back to base.
Yep. And this is where it actually gets a little bit more dicey, where you try to hand off the recalls. Teddy takes... Okay, he doesn't take the second part, so he's still okay. Has about 400 HP now. Okay, well now he has about a 180.
If Faker's out there, call him up and learn how to dodge some things, because Teddy is he's walking into almost every single solo player that comes his way, and of course that volley poke from Ashe is very difficult to avoid, but needs to find a way to do it, because this pressure, something he has not succumbed to in games 1 and 2 that now is all of a sudden a big deal.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it started with those level 1 trades that were put onto Che, really changing the way that the lane could be played at level 1 and 2, and just giving Fury and Pure the edge.
Changing.
Yep.
There we go. All right, well, back to the mid lane, where wave clear is much more difficult to make jokes about, unless Nami's there, but she's down bottom. So either way, Kuzan does have his blue buff. Same thing for Frozen. Just going to be a minion genocide there, as both mid laners completely crush that. So that leaves it up to the junglers. And we were talking about the Lee Sin pick from Crash. We didn't see it do anything and reach his hands day 1. Here in day number 2, it still has not been incredibly effective. We all want to see it work, but here comes the aggression. No junglers there to capitalize.
Yep, and I mean, Lee Sin couldn't really do anything until his top and mid laners hit level 6, and that's primarily because blue side cannon is going to be pretty difficult to coordinate any sort of a gank on, given that he can just lock you up. But hold that thought.
Tunneling under the turret, minion there to tank for just a little bit. There's the flash, the knockup, the cannon damage, forcing a flash away. Can't even finish his lightning storm. Wing now has to disengage, but he's taking the turret shots. Expression gets the kill under turret, turning it around, and Winged goes down for first blood to Longzhu. Oh, God. Wow, what a turnaround. Expression on top of everything, and flashing back in to get the kill on Wing. That coordination just was not there. Bottom lane Crash maybe coming in to try for something similar. Bubble will hit onto Fury, but with no more support. Okay, well, here comes Curtain Call. It's going to deal some damage, but won't be able to pick off a kill.
I just feel like the most random timing of ultimates and decisions by both parties at some points, but yeah, I mean, that kill on Expression up there in top lane is actually really, really, really problematic. And hold that thought.
And lockdowns, and okay, well, nice gravity field. Great positioning on that. Kuzan on the run to his own jungle. Crash won't chase.
Yep. So Kuzan's going to be shoved out of... oh, that was actually really cute. The Expression ultimate back to lane.
Yeah, and he's actually pretty full on health and mana, so won't need too much from that. Even just goes ahead and decides to pop that Corrupting Potion, keep his sustain coming on, but that'll actually put him in a great position, because he's got that recall already under his belt, and will have his teleport up at the same time Sohwan does.
Looks like
Crash up top lane, going for the ward jump over the wall there. Will be in a great spot to get the kickoff onto Sohwan, following up with that Sonic Wave. Sohwan out of there. Crash, his first kill of the game.
Yeah, and this is something that they definitely did not want to have happen, because if Echo is able to get that magic resistance early, and then he's also able to start adding on damage way earlier than he should be able to, he's going to be extremely problematic for Victor and Jin when it does enter into the team fights later on. And so right now, I mean, we're only at 10 minutes, but Longzhu is super, super far ahead right now. And if everything keeps going the way that it does, it actually only gets worse for JINAIR until about 30 minutes.
Oh my god, Teddy is... This is like the Snuggles bear when you rip out all the stuffing. He is getting poked to death. He's a bear, not a Pillsbury Doughboy, so it doesn't work quite the same way. But here's Winged in the bottom lane. Fury and Pure, a great position to just walk away. So Winged is there to maybe give some relief to Teddy and Che, but oh my god, the pressure's still coming on from Pure and Fury, and it's a 2v3. They lock down Winged. They're still moving forward. Fury without a lot of mana. The exhaust comes down, but there's not a lot of follow-up, although with a ward from behind the turret, will Expression find a kill? There's 3 low champions. Is there enough follow-up to find it? Teddy drops low. There's a lot of healing coming in. Teddy, or rather Expression in a 1v3. Can he make it happen? He's down to half health. There's a minion wave dishing out the damage. He's not finding the Time Winder hits that he needs, but Crash and Pure coming around the side. Looks like Crash might be coming in looking for something. Where's the damage he needs? Che under turret. Expression's going to go for it, and he will find it. Hold himself back to safety. Kuzan there to find the kill onto Crash. It's going to give it, it's going to be given over to Teddy. Expression Pure still around. The turret very, very low, but nothing's going to take it down. Here comes Expression. He's going to hit the turret. Takes it down there. Now Teddy in the danger zone. Turns around with a big crit. Brings Pure with the damage to take him out. No, Expression actually gets the kill credit. And now Kuzan on the run, but he can't get out. Okay, I guess that was actually canceled, the Nether Grasp? I don't know, man. Some crazy action. I'm trying to let LS talk some more, but there's too much stuff going on.
Well, we had the QSS, but Rapid, I have to tell you, that was one of the worst mechanically fought team fights I've actually watched in a professional game. Because it just seemed like no one was on the same page. Teddy almost walked into Expression twice and died. One you might be able to argue was a heal bait. I mean, you're going to see it again right here. Crash gets knocked up. It looks like he couldn't decide what he wanted to do. He goes forward, backwards, Expression ults back in. Kuzan came down, and at that point you're wondering, why is Fury that overextended? Pure and Expression at that point seemed to be on the same page, but unfortunately we didn't get to see the startup of how that really all happened. But it was just very, very bizarre where it looked like everyone was super timid because that was a very game-changing moment where whatever team comes out ahead in that gets back into the driver's seat, and fortunately for Longzhu, it was them.
Longzhu now in a great spot, a couple thousand gold ahead. This time it's Teddy's turn for revenge, trying to catch Expression here. Does predict a nice phase dive, an ult to dodge the last Jin shot. Expression regains a little bit of his health and is able to save that turret, keep it alive for now. Teddy unable to find anything there, while the rest of Longzhu are in the top lane pushing. It's only Kennen there to defend the turret, which he just can't do.
And a red buff on Crash is definitely going to help in the raising of this turret. That's going to be a top tier 2 turret, which generally, in most cases, especially against a blue team, is considered a luxury turret, because oftentimes you don't get to take that unless you have Baron buff.
Very, very difficult to take down, and giving it away just for free. Teddy, this game, maybe cracking under the pressure. He ate a lot of harassment. You mentioned what set that bottom lane fight up. Well, a lot of it's just Teddy and Che getting poked into oblivion. Now mid lane, a lot of pushing, a lot of poke, a lot of focus. Chaos Storm used just to clear out the wave.
Yep, and I mean, this is the problem that I talked about with Echo, where he has items at this point where he shouldn't, and relative to the base scaling of some of these champions, he's too problematic. And also, Kuzan having to itemize into that Quicksilver Sash as early as he did, he doesn't have any damage.
There goes out, catches Che. He's going to be suppressed there by the Nether Grasp as well. Frozen takes him down, Expression low, Wing low as well. Either one falling, but a big pick there for Longzhu.
And Kuzan going to come into mid, pick up this minion wave. Oh! Somewhere Froggen, I think Froggen just woke up in his sleep because the cannon minion was lost.
It's as if 1,000 mid laners cried out and were suddenly silenced.
Yep. That was pretty painful.
Unlucky. Well, he might make the CS back by killing a bunch of these Voidlings. Either way, the wave clear is pretty real, Kuzan. Gotta work on those cannon minions. That's why it's so good that we're gonna be having sandbox mode coming up. You can spawn it, well, you can't spawn an entire wave of cannon minions, but let's watch this once again. Che just getting caught out.
Che got completely caught out, and I mean, the Nether Grasp after the Ash Arrow lights out. Fortunately for JINAIR Green Wings, Winged was able to get out, but you can just see at this point of the game, they don't have any sort of a way to really threaten damage. And here is a Mountain Drake, so Longzhu RNGing like some gods against these Victor picks tonight.
really going to help them push into what would be a very difficult matchup to push into. Victor, king of the wave clear, might have a trouble if you can just walk up and kill the turret anyway. Need too many minions to do that. Either way, love the aggression from Crash. He's actually using this Lee Sin pick to get in behind Sohan up top lane, kick him away and get that kill, and then very effective in securing these buffs and aggressively positioning through the jungle.
Yeah, and right now, all that I would like to see Expression do is after completing that Triforce, given the advantage that Longzhu has, if he just gets a Guardian Angel, it's basically going to spell lights out, because that opens up so many more dive potentials that they would otherwise just not have.
Big shield there. It comes in the Omni Wave, triple knock up there towards the back. Chaos Storm coming in. Sohan looking for a great opportunity. He's going to find it, and huge engage takes out Pure Crash very low, but will survive. Only one pick here for JINAIR. Can they look for more? Looks like they might find more, but otherwise just turning the pressure around on the Longzhu.
Yep. And that was another classic overextension. There was no reason to be that far up, and Sohan was able to find a very nice way into Longzhu's backline and lock people up. Now, getting the pick off onto Pure was definitely good, but unfortunately they weren't able to get any objectives off that, so I feel like the flash was not super effective, especially because at this point in the game, there's no dragon. Rift Herald looks like it's going to go over to Longzhu, and at that point, nothing's really going to happen. So there's going to be enough time for the flashes to come back up over onto Longzhu.
Rift Herald is what's being contested here. Wayne getting into the pit. There's the knockabout, a crash. It just gets exploded. Expression now very low. He's trying to kill the Rift Herald, but in the end, it's Teddy that takes it down. Expression gets taken down as well, and that's the Rift Herald going over to JINAIR. So, okay, that's the chain CC. It'll take Winged out there. Teddy very low in the back as well. The fights just never stop at that time. It's JINAIR wind up in the head, ahead.
Well, Longzhu's going to they're going to bounce back really quick, as they're going to probably pick up this wave. I don't see a way for Kuzan to stop that. And so the gold lead extends to about 3.5, but again, JINAIR Green Wings do have that scaling team composition, but Malzahar and Echo, they're no slouches either. So here, this was just a little bit unfortunate. Rift Herald too far away from being able to get executed by Longzhu, so they got caught out, and honestly, it was looking great for JINAIR, but then they pushed too far forward, where, well, Wing did not take the proper way out of the pit. I don't even think there was a reason for him to actually come out of the pit. He could have just stayed inside of it and waited for a tunnel to get out. And fortunately for Longzhu, they picked that up, and they pick up the mid-tier 1, so not the end of the world, but losing that Herald was certainly not something they wanted.
Certainly not. Didn't catch exactly who it went over to in the end. I'm guessing they would have liked to give it to Sohan, but I didn't see where the buff went. Either way, it was stolen away there. Much like Crash is going to steal away these Merkwolves. Take them out, run away. Crash's counter jungle game has been immense this series. Game 2 specifically, just like never let Winged have a Krug camp. Won't be able to do that on the current patch. Those things are actually impossible to kill. But this time around, it does look like he is able to get a lot of value there. Pushing down on the bottom lane, but who's really in the lead? Because we've been seeing JINAIR actually have some signs of life.
Well, because of the Mountain Drake, that certainly does play a part into not really enabling Kuzan to just constantly shove out the minion waves. Because with that Mountain Drake damage added onto the turrets, they get a little bit extra damage in every time if Victor fails perfect death ray to clear the entire wave at once. So that, with the ability to also threaten Baron, Longzhu is still ahead right now.
Oh, kick into Che, getting blown apart. Ashero coming in there will hit, but it's not effective. Teddy with a turnaround, and he'll find a counter kill on to Crash, who does get taken back. It's another kill coming in as Teddy finds Frozen, who will go down JINAIR with a 2-for-1 exchange.
Yep, 2-for-1 exchange, and I mean, they're still ahead. Baron's a real possibility. Another dragon coming up in just over a minute here, and they look like they're the ones in position to take that. But who knows, because we saw them also lose Herald. And so right here by Crash, he goes for an insect onto Che, and they pick up the kill. I don't think there was any real reason to really have to use the Malzahar ultimate there, and Crash couldn't end up actually escaping because Fury just was not in position for him to jump to. And because of that, they actually end up losing Frozen.
Yeah, we'll go out there. I had this huge gasp moment during the middle of that team fight. I was like, are they going to catch him too? Didn't realize I was going to audibly gasp that loudly, but just to let you guys know the mindset, it's actually so exciting to watch both of these teams show their advantages in each way. So for JINAIR, they were trying, or for Longzhu, they were trying to make a play there at the Rift Herald. JINAIR wind up coming back, taking them out. It was Sohwan that got the Rift Herald buff, by the way. So you figured it out, detectives on the case. But either way, JINAIR now then turning that fight around too. You start to wonder, really, even though that Mountain Drake advantage does go to Longzhu, even though they've got the gold lead as well, are they playing to their advantages correctly?
Well, they're in position right now to get this next dragon, unless they concede the position right here, which it looks like they are going to. And so now what they're going to do is they're going to probably rotate to mid. Oh, okay, it's only a Water Drake, so that's actually completely useless. At this point in the game, the Water Dragon is almost completely negligible. And so actually taking that in exchange for this is actually a very common mistake which pro teams have made for at least 2 years in a row now, where they go into Dragon, they take it, and then lose complete position in mid lane if there's a wave for the enemy team. But
suppression there on Sohwan. He's going to get kicked completely out. Great usage of that ult, but Crash is going to go down. Wing pretty low there. The Voidling's chasing him out. I didn't want to call whether or not they'd kill him, because those things deal a lot of damage, but or not kill him, but be able to pick up a kill there in the fight. They don't, but in the end, Crash gets taken out. Was that worth it to trade him for the entire team getting caught?
No, not at all. I feel like their rotation out of mid lane was not very ideal, and a lot of their issues that we saw in every single game, including last game, is actually coming to a head yet again. And this time, I don't think that they're in the same position. Well, certainly not. If you just look at the gold graph, and also the team compositions are a little bit different to get a Desperation Baron. So in this replay, they try to lock up Sohwan, but they can't really find the damage onto him just yet. They don't have that added damage. And as you can see here, they couldn't find a kill onto anyone really, and they just keep losing ground as the match goes on.
I'm not sure where Crash was kicking him too. He's just like, yeah, get away from the rest of my team.
Malzahar does have Rylai's now, so that is a pretty strong item to have actually against Rek'Sai and Kennen, because then if they fail their engagements, it's all too easy to actually keep them slowed up and eventually just pick them off.
And you were talking about that even in Champion Select, how it's going to be so key for Frozen as soon as he hits that to be able to find these big picks that maybe Longzhu will need. Now tunnel under there by Wing, getting the knockup onto Crash. Overextended. It'll take him a while to kill him, but he's not making it out of there alive. Winged gets the kill. Bottom lane though, Expression, okay! The solo kill onto Sohwan. Ouch, that definitely hurts. And now that means Expression might even be able to take this turret.
Yeah. I think he would have been able to take the turret anyway. So while it is really good and it will provide an immediate advantage, you have to wonder.
Oh my god!
That was actually a pretty cute interaction.
He like had the sidestep and he got stunned, but it didn't matter because he canceled it with the tunnel.
Yeah, so we're watching this replay again, and you can see that Sohwan is already pretty chunked, and the minion wave is already basically underneath the turret. So they have this big trade right here. Expression recalls, breaks aggro, and at this point, Sohwan could not have come back into the lane without risking death. There's no reason for Expression to flash, and now he's not going to have it for any sort of a Baron play.
Big cooldown to be used there, like you said, LS. So the kills, they're nice to get gold, but it's really about what you do with them. Expression, sure, he's strong in that matchup, but we'll have to keep an eye and see whether or not getting him that ahead with that gold is really what's going to help him the most.
Yep. And, I mean, at this point in the game, only less than a 2,000 gold difference now, by the way.
Wow.
Despite Longzhu having 3 more towers. So that's a lot of gold for JINAIR to pick up.
Certainly is, and really at the even at the beginning of today's games, we talked about how what's going to be so good about the games today is that they will be so evenly matched, and it doesn't get a lot more even than this. And this is even before our second series where we get to see MVP take on the Afrika Freaks, which also should be a pretty enjoyable matchup to watch. Those both were very skilled teams last season. So awesome to see the closeness, the power though, still looking like Longzhu have their seat in the driver's seat.
Yep. And
well, they don't have the feet in the seat. That would be a little weird. They got to put those on the pedal to press the go button to go. Okay, I'm carrying the analogy a little bit too far forward. Ellis just smiles at me while I like dig my hole a little bit deeper.
well, speaking of digging holes right now, KeSPA trying to dig a hole into JINAIR's base, but unfortunately it seems like his ability to do that is starting to dwindle as the match draws on. And Death Cap now also, by the way, completed for Kuzan. That's actually a little bit of a different itemization from last game. So while Kuzan will not have as much utility and durability to offer to his team, he will have a lot more damage. So
do you think that's a good trade-off to not be able to pick up the Rylai's slow, but instead just go for tons of damage?
I think it's reasonably okay because you don't want to make it so that Kuzan is completely incapable of killing Lee Sin or Echo. So they need some sort of damage source, especially because Sohwan was so compromised.
KeSPA just running a train on this bottom lane, and not a whole lot Sohwan can do but just try to wave clear against him. The rest of JINAIR not really there to help him out. Or the rest of, JINAIR not coming down to really deal too much with him. Wing, though, will walk straight into Frozen. No knockup to be had there, but Wing with a quick tunnel away. Ghost, though, they want him. They will get him. There's the suppression. Arrow coming in. Winged, not in a great spot. He'll go down to Frozen.
Yeah, and there's absolutely no reason to unburrow to knock up those Voidlings. It really just begs the question of why. Because you know that Dragon was coming up in a very short while. Why would you risk any sort of chance of taking either a lot of damage or just outright dying?
We may never know. Those are the deep secret mysteries. Find out later on. Either way, unfortunate for Wing, but that might set Longzhu up for a Baron. They're in the area. They can certainly start this. It'd be nice to have Frozen there, but he is all the way bottom, and that will deter them for long enough. JINAIR Green Wings to get into the area. Avoid that, but here comes the curtain call. Fury's got to get his fancy feet on. Some nice jukes, and let's just walk away there. The last hit will hit, and that's the one that matters. Who's on with a one-shot?
Yeah, a little bit of help from Jin. But anyways, Kuzan picking up a kill there is really, really nice. And as you can see, KeSPA continuing to fail to basically stay within the same area for the last 8 minutes or so.
Love the Trinity Force. We haven't seen particularly that along with the Dead Man's Plate Echo build just yet this tournament. So able to just completely destroy Sohwan in lane. Not a lot to worry about. And that means that Frozen behind that can just take as much time as he wants on this Ocean Drake because he won't take damage from it.
Yep, doesn't take any damage, and that's what I talked about last game about Malzahar when he hits that 30% CDR. And now JINAIR, though, trying to go for this Baron.
Oh, Crash. The world in your hands. Flank teleport coming in. Here's KeSPA. The Ash Arrow swing and a miss. Baron down to half HP. KeSPA in a great spot there. Will get a parallel convergence stun. Ulting back out there. Baron still dealing damage. Here comes the rest of Longzhu, Frozen and Pure in the fight. KeSPA behind. There's a little bit of a slow there. Pure with the Soul Flare to keep JINAIR from escaping completely. Longzhu now in position for Baron, but no team should really be on that at this point. KeSPA completely out of mana though, so might need to head back to base to refuel.
Yeah. He is completely oof, and so he might have to just
I mean, they do have that Ocean Drake, so might catch him. Okay, Crash getting a little bit caught out. KeSPA is deep in the enemy lines. is going to be forced to flash to disengage there. Final hour, curtain call rather, to come out. There's a big chaos storm. Pure very low. Here comes Kennen. Sohan will get snared out there at the end, unable to really find too much, but a pick on Pure means that JINAIR once again go back onto Baron.
Yep, they are back onto Baron, and that was honestly probably the best disengage they could hope for, because Frozen is the only thing standing between JINAIR and this Baron right now, because you don't want to mess with Malzahar and his resets on the Malefic Visions.
Oh boy, this game has so much action, and I love to see that both teams fighting for their tournament lives, for the chance at heading to Busan for the grand finals and semis. $100,000 on the line, and a lot of pride for both of these teams. Who have really seen glory days in their own right. Longzhu bought the dream team with great members from LGD, JINAIR, Samsung, CJ. They just brought everybody together and then really didn't accomplish a whole lot. For JINAIR, I mean, they were one of the teams, even back in the days of Eras and Stealth, like, you really want to relive those glory days with a team that struggled last season.
Yep. And, I mean, while it's still looks like, you know, Longzhu's roster still has a lot of talent, it still seems like they have the same problems. They look very hot and cold in the early game, and then almost it's a surety that when they reach this stage of the game, they just begin to fall apart. And so as soon as they can fix that issue, that's when maybe they can actually become really one of the top teams in the Korean region.
I think I said Arrows and Stealths instead of Falcons and Stealths. Arrows are, of course, KT's team. There goes Expression right back into lane. Not totally topped off on mana, but he'll be able to get that buy in. Guardian Angel completed. He is so dense at this point. Down there, doesn't have a way to rejoin Longzhu if they want to stop this JINAIR Baron once again. They're on it, but Longzhu coming around the corner as they come, crashes there behind, so most likely JINAIR do not want to finish this.
Oh, that was really unfortunate timing.
Catch on to Wing, though. He's going to get suppressed, forced to flash away. He will stay alive, but there's Expression walking all the way there into a great flanking position, all on top of Teddy. Teddy can't deal with it. Wing very low there as well. Crash wants to continue this, but won't connect with the Sonic Wave. Here comes Frozen. Expression around the side. Can they find a pick? They're deterred by Kuzan's laser. Parallel convergence not going to land on anyone, and Longzhu the ones to disengage after a pick onto Che.
Yeah, and these fights are really bloody, and they're actually turning out really, really close. And while the intent was really good from Kuzan, Teddy was a little bit too slow with his Jin Snare. And
oh, Wing there. It's going to be Expression with the kill. So no jungler there for JINAIR, and Longzhu starting to crush it down. There's going to be Fury with a kill. Longzhu dominate for 0 exchange. It's their turn for the Baron, but Teddy from the back line, he's picking him off. He finds 1 kill onto Pure, but the Baron still goes the way of Longzhu.
And it's looking like game number 2 might turn out the same exact, or game number 3 here might turn out the same way as game number 2. So in this replay, Sohan wasn't able to get the stun on absolutely everyone, and so because of that, Frozen and Fury were just able to stay on the outskirts of that stun and continue to deal damage, and now they turn it around and get the Baron. And just like in game number 2, they struggled for so long and get a random Baron, and I'm almost feeling like they're going to do the same exact thing that they did in game 2, where now JINAIR is just going to completely succumb to them.
This is that empowerment, that endowment that Longzhu really needed to really kick them into, it kicks them up a few tiers in the standings. As long as they have Baron buff, they really know where to go, and they were able to take 2 inhibitors off of their last Baron buff in game 2. See if they can do the same thing here. Grouping up around the mid lane. Some pings behind them to let them know that maybe there's an opportunity for Sohan to TP from behind. So keeping the communication up, making sure to push this in slow and steady. So what they did last time is just group up, push down 1, then take a second one. But this time it looks like they're trying more of a split approach, especially considering that Expression is as strong as he is, and there's no base turret to protect that bottom inhibitor.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a different dynamic this time around because they don't have the 1-3-1 available to them, but Expression is such a monster that it doesn't really matter too much because Sohan can't really dissuade him from trying to take that inhibitor by himself.
Expression 1v3ing and still wailing on Wing because he knows that JINAIR needs to head up top to protect that inhibitor, but he's taken one of his own. Expression left alone to take it down. He doesn't even care that Sohan's coming down. He might just kill him straight up. He's using the inhibitor to bait the rest of JINAIR down to defend it.
Yep. And he's doing a good job at pulling them away. I think that Malzahar, though, as soon as Frozen's Ghost is up, you can probably leave Malzahar alone up in the top lane and go into a mini 1-3-1 because Malzahar's going to be able to close the gap in mid with that Ghost pretty quick.
How'd you like a free Giants bell? Expression heads back to base, ults back into lane, and takes down that bottom inhibitor.
And
Longzhu.
Baron will fade, actually, in just a little while. Elder Drake on the field, though, and you can bet that Longzhu certainly wants to secure that. Although it'll be a little bit more difficult. The more dragons that you did take, the more difficult Elder Drake is to kill. So a little harder for them than it would be for JINAIR.
Well, Expression really feeling himself now. He's already taken down one entire lane down there on the bottom. Now he's moving up towards mid while the rest of Longzhu group up in the top lane and continue their push, which looks a whole lot less successful.
And outside of that bottom inhibitor turret, they're not finding a very easy way into the base.
The miss on the arrow there. Tidal Wave coming in there won't actually get too much done. The Chaos Storm committed as well as the Curtain Call. So a lot of ultimates expended there for JINAIR, but just to defend their base.
Yeah. And one of the issues that they're having right now is that Kuzan doesn't offer enough at this point in the game yet. And there's a heavily reliance on Teddy, and that's primarily because this build variation from Victor right now does not have the Rylai's, so there's no sort of slows and never-ending chain of slows coming out from his ultimate as well. So it's a little more difficult to coordinate teamfights if Sohan is absent from them.
Sohan has been absent from a lot this game. Kind of invisible in his own lane, especially with Expression just dominating him there, more than flame horizoning him by this point. And if he's not showing up in his lane and he's not showing up to team fights, then JINAIR need to find something to make up the difference. Elder Drake is up, Longzhu in the area to set up for it. Their Baron buff's expired, so evening the score maybe a little bit more. The kills may be even, but when it comes to objectives and gold, Longzhu are definitely in the driver's seat.
Yeah. And speaking of driver's seat, Expression up there in the top lane, looking like he's probably just going to take down the top inhibitor turret. Same way he took bottom, slow and steady, but surely that thing will fall. And they're securing a lot of vision control around the Elder Dragon. Duskblade not really doing too much right there.
Here comes the arrow hit on to Che. Will get caught up. There's a gravity field to dissuade the engage. Crash hit it, getting out of there, not overextending to get caught or anything, but he's on the Elder Drake. Longzhu as well. Here we go, down to about 7,008 or 8,7,654. We'll see that countdown as they will take it out. Che coming around here onto Expression. He's just running away while his team gets the Baron, or the Elder Drake, which looks like Baron because it's purple, but it's on the other side of the map.
Yep. And with that, I mean, if there's any sort of an opportunity for Longzhu to just go super hard with a tower dive, that would be now while they have that dragon up. And I don't think there's anything that JINAIR can really do about it unless Sohan hits a miracle 3 or 4 man ultimate and they chain that with Che's Nami ult. I think that's the only way that JINAIR can actually win a fight right now.
We'll see if the miracle is out there because they will need it, continuing to face further and further deficits, whether it's Baron, Elder Dragon, inhibitors being taken down. There's not a whole lot of things in the positive column for JINAIR, but maybe what are some of those? Maybe they get the Dream Engage. Oh, Teddy. Okay, he's out of there. But aside from just like a miracle where everybody piles on all of their ultimates, I mean, JINAIR are used to hanging on for these long late games.
They are, but I think one of the problems is that they're facing a Malzahar who never stops scaling. And Victor's itemization is, to me, it's a little bit weird at this point, primarily because the Sheen obviously has to go into the Lichbane, and I don't feel like the Lichbane is an item that you actually want against this Longzhu team composition. So it's a little bit bizarre to me, and then obviously that QSS is going to permanently eat up a slot, which he can turn it into a scimitar, but it's not something you want to do.
Session, a little far forward there. Teddy, I'm not sure that's who you want in the front lines, your fight running after one of the strongest members of this Longzhu team. He's going to get out, but look at Expression. He's just waiting there behind the entire JINAIR team to come in when and if this fight starts as Baron comes back up.
Yeah, and Longzhu going to probably just shred this down. They have the Mountain Drake. And that is going to fall and be the second Baron of the game for them. So, I mean, if you're JINAIR, you're asking yourself, okay, how do we win this game? Because it looks like Expression probably just going to take this inhibitor one more time.
What does Sohan do?
Can't do anything.
No.
So the only thing that they can hope for, again, is that Miracle engage with Sohan and Nami, and then praying that Kuzan and Teddy can actually get the damage out to delete 2 members or something of Longzhu.
Okay, well, the arrow does actually still hit Shay, but he's back safe and sound in base. Bottom inhibitor falls again. Nobody can stop this Echo. Expression just on a rampage here, continuing to push. It takes Swinged and Sohan to try to stop him, but neither one of them can pose any form of a threat.
Yep. There's Victor's wave clear, even against Baron minions.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's the Lichbane helping out as well, really amping up his ability to take down the Baron buff empowered cannons. You get supers on the bottom, it's also really going to help clear out as well.
Yeah. I mean, oh.
Okay, well, here comes the pick potential. Big final, or curtain call rather, double bubble in the back line, but there's just no damage or follow-up. Wing gonna have that Guardian Angel pop. Here comes Sohan trying to lock everybody down. He will completely dominate Frozen. Crash maybe the next to fall. Teleport coming in, but it's canceled there by Expression, who'd rather spend his time in the base taking down this mid lane inhibitor turret.
Oh, he might have actually overstayed his welcome.
It's gonna take a lot to kill him. Not as much as it's going to keep the rest of his team from continuing to push. Longzhu, they get engaged on, they still lose their mid laner, but it doesn't seem to have impacted them.
Yeah, it didn't impact it a lot, but one thing that it did do is if you look at the summoner spells on Longzhu, they just lost a lot there, and they didn't actually really gain anything. That was actually looking a little bit bad because JINAIR mistakenly tried to bring the fight to Longzhu without Kennen actually present, and so I feel like Expression could have done a little bit more. Fortunately for them, he did not, and I feel like in a summoner spell war, they picked up a lot right now, and they're really keeping themselves in this game. With the Mikhail's Crucible also on Nami, there might be an opportunity for Kuzan to actually sell his QSS. Alternatively, he sells his Ionian boots for Luden's Echo.
Well, whether it's Luden's Echo or Longzhu's Echo, one of the two, we'll see who's stronger, and it certainly looks like it's Expression, at least for now. Sohan had a pretty massive ult there that dominated Frozen, so stuff like that keeps happening, and JINAIR survived long enough. This is the comfort zone for that team. They love playing the late game, and they'll get a chance to show exactly how well they know it. Kuzan tasked with defending a very strong Echo pushing in, but nice to see the Expression gives him a little bit more respect.
And no major objectives coming up in the foreseeable future. Elder Drake does take quite a long time to respawn. Very slow to wake up in the morning.
Aren't we all? And if you aren't, then, well, you're one of those people. It's a lot easier for me to get up in the morning because I know there's KeSPA Cup to come in and cast. So oh my god. Expression down to half health, even with Kuzan there to defend.
And right now, I mean, this is still a little bit sad though. As big and gigantic as Expression is, they still can't find a way to penetrate the second inhibitor, and that was one of the key components to how they were able to win the second game, was by having those 2 inhibitors down. And with only one, you can see that it's not enough of a pressure point for Longzhu to actually exert their advantage over JINAIR, and they can't really find a way to coordinate it. And so, 2 Barons, 1 Elder Drake, and they still don't know how to get in.
Oh, Sohan. Poor Sohan. We'll see if they can find a way to get in. I mean, Expression might just be their way to get in, because he can just keep permanently pushing that bottom lane forever and maybe rope up to the mid lane turret like he's been doing, but they push him out again. So yeah, exactly like you were saying, it's just taking Longzhu maybe too long to continue this push.
Yep. And what is he accomplishing here?
He's killing those minions, man.
Yeah, he's killing the minions. He's using his
might get caught out. Now Frozen's there for bodyguard duty, saying that maybe Expression's getting a little too annoying, but in the meantime, that's all they have to do is just walk up, hit the turret slow but surely. This is where you tell me not to call you Shirley, but either way, they're making it happen one hit at a time. But is this too slow? Does this give JINAIR too much time to scale up?
Oh, I mean, I don't see Victor's gold, but he could be very, very, very close to Luden's Echo, and if he gets that with the death cap, that's going to be an extremely scary Victor, because I'm pretty sure at that point, Malzahar, Ashe, Karma, maybe, well, no, not Lee Sin, he has that Maw, but everyone else, they're going down in one combo.
Oh boy, yeah, that's when you start to see those Victor one-shots come out. And when you talk about one-shotting people, late game Jin, hello, that is going to be so scary, especially now that he is capped out on items. Teddy only has left to sell his boots as well, so these are some very strong, very high-scaling, hard-carrying carries for JINAIR. But have they lost too much at this point? Bottom lane so weak, so Juan. What does he really have to do to start being useful? Because he really can't deal with Expression.
Well, one of the things I would have liked to actually have seen from him was Leandri's Torment. He elected instead for the Death Cap, which it will increase his overall damage output, and it does open up his ability to also execute some of the carries on Longzhu. I think that the Leandri's would have given him more.
Expression, Bubble missing thanks to the Chrono Break. Slow coming in there from the Proto Belt there. Expression very low. Asher will miss the flash out. Not enough to save him from having proc that Guardian Angel. Expression's down. Kuzan with a kill.
Well,
there you go.
All right. So apparently gods do die.
That's what happens when you poke the bear, man. Sometimes the bear pokes back.
Oh, that is the worst timing to die, because that means that JINAIR could actually get the Baron. But did you see how long it actually took to kill that Echo?
They had to kill him through Chrono Break, through Guardian Angel, Flash to try to disengage. The rest of his team there trying to save him. The Ashe Arrow came in through Fury, but it missed. And he finally went down. So Expression, only his second death of the game, and here goes JINAIR towards that Baron.
Yeah, and there's no minions in mid lane or bottom for Longzhu to be like, okay, you can have Baron, we're going to take 2 inhibitors. So this should be pretty standard. 15 seconds, though, on Expression with teleport.
And Crash can end their careers if he gets in there for the
Sohan.
kill. Sohan needs to be in a good spot. Keeping an eye on there, he goes in, but it's Victor. Kuzan secures the Baron for JINAIR Green Wings. LS over here losing his mind. What's going on? This is JINAIR coming back.
This is JINAIR actually coming back into the game, and the decisive fight is probably going to happen outside of Elder Dragon. And you're about to see a 6-item Jin and Victor actually go off against Longzhu, and with Echo missing an entire item, I don't think Longzhu is going to actually be able to win this team fight anymore. I think that JINAIR have done it, and they've reached the breaking point for their scaling composition, and it's going to be all over once they have this Elder Dragon.
Oh my god. Well, it will be easier to take than Longzhu's because they do have one less Elemental Drake, but here comes Longzhu. This will be possibly even the fight that decides the game. Fury got dominated. That Death Ray aptly named, and now here comes the curtain call, hitting back through even some of the body blockers. This Elder Drake's going to JINAIR.
JINAIR looking to not take Longzhu on a bus trip, but instead a plane ride via JINAIR.
And it's a discounted airline, so maybe I don't want to compare this to too many discount American airlines, but either way, it's going to be an affordable trip for Longzhu, but they'll be taking that trip home, not to the quarterfinals.
Yeah, and with this push coming up mid lane, Baron, Elder Dragon, 6-item Jin and Victor, I can't see a way for Longzhu to find any sort of way in because Expression does not have Flash to get that parallel convergence.
And Longzhu, they need to now find a way to defend themselves. this is it. A big push into the base as JINAIR just trying to find picks, damage onto this turret. It looks like they're getting down. Oh my God. So much, either any single auto from Kuzan or Teddy destroying that turret, making it look like a ward.
Yep. That turret is going down as soon as this next minion wave arrives. Now, one thing I do not like, though, is that Sohan isn't in bottom or top lane. I don't think there's any reason not to have that happen because he has the teleport available, and JINAIR is so strong on their own because you know that Longzhu's not in a mindset thinking that they need to go in and they need to fight right now. So there's definitely a little bit of lost opportunity, but at the same time, if that turret had fallen, then they would have just been able to plow up mid and try to end the game.
Oh,
but Longzhu have found themselves some breathing room. Not sure exactly what the cooldown is on Guardian Angel, but...
Oh, here comes the curtain call. A lot of damage onto Fury. Crash locked up there in the front line. Bubble lands, and he will drop dangerously low. Now, Guardian Angel will revive him, but he's not in a great spot. This inhibitor looks like it will be taken down. A big kick on the wings, but he's tanking enough to survive. JINAIR, find the kills, find the inhibitor, and now they're pushing into this Longzhu base.
Oh, and okay, well, Frozen's still alive, fortunately for that.
Oh, but Sohan on top of everything! Ending Longzhu's career, setting the backwards, but he will go down. Okay, well, a little bit over-aggressive maybe, and JINAIR now back off.
Yeah, he didn't quite have the damage, and Frozen was able to lock him up, and not like this. That is what's going through JINAIR's mind right now. Although, look at that damage!
Okay, Expression out of there, but Shay very low. Tide Color's blessing to give them the movement speed, trying to disengage. There's a flash, Expression trying to find the pick. Shay very low, but they might be able to turn the damage back around as Malzahar. Frozen finds the pick there, takes out Shay. Sohan dead for 45 seconds. Longzhu pushing up the mid lane, but minions on the bottom taking a turret of their own.
Yeah, had they been able to find a kill onto Teddy or Kuzan right there, things could have gotten really bad because at that point, it's almost a surety that the bottom inhibitor would have probably fallen to Longzhu had they just gone for it. But a little bit of breathing room, mid inhibitor does fall. If Longzhu loses any team fight, it's lights out now. However, for the next team fight, Expression will have his Guardian Angel back up, so he will have gained an item, whereas Lee Sin will have lost one, but it's much more valuable on Expression.
Talking about gaining and losing items, we're seeing a full 6 items as these boots are now sold. Waiting to see what the last item is for Kuzan. It's that Luden's Echo.
Yeah, so Luden's is, oh, well, hold on, hold that thought.
Watch
so,
this again.
Right here, I mean, Crash got locked up underneath the turret. He almost made it away, but not quite. Turret trying to do a little bit of damage to Che right there, does not do enough. And when Crash goes down, you almost think that the game might have actually been over. So just watch Sohan right here as he's going to go in for a multi-man ultimate. And, I mean, Frozen didn't even have his passive up. So he goes in, and you can see, though, he doesn't get the stun off on the people he needed to, and so Frozen was able to lock him up. If Frozen went down during that fight, the game ends. So a little bit unfortunate for them.
Now, what we were talking about before that replay is we finally have these items being sold for both of our carries, Teddy and Kuzan. For Teddy, he's going to be able to pick up that Phantom Dancer, Kuzan with that Luden's Echo. So these are the most damage you'll see out of almost any mid laners in the current meta, aside from something like a Syndra or along those lines, because Kuzan and Teddy are monstrous.
Yeah. At this point, this is a real 6-item Jhin and Victor, because they don't have boots. Jhin not as reliant on boots as some other AD carries, primarily just because of the way that he functions as more so a finisher rather than a constant damage dealer, and also the utility that is gained just by using his ultimate to dissuade opponents and create openings for his team. So this is... Longzhu's definitely fighting up a mountain right now.
Critting for 1588 on these minions. Oh my god, and how the tides have turned. JINAIR, they really do play to that late game style. 100,000 gold crested for Longzhu. JINAIR 5,000 behind, but you wouldn't know it now that we are to this ultra late game, where JINAIR in that interview before the game say they're the most confident.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, okay, Baron up in 40 seconds. Lanes are looking a little bit bad for Longzhu, but not the end of the world, as we can see the bottom lane is shoving back into JINAIR Green Wings, and that's the lane that they need to shove into JINAIR, because that means if they win the Baron fight, they have a gigantic minion wave to rush down to the bottom lane, tap the minions with Baron buff, take the inhibitor, and take the game.
Red buff now on Teddy. Is going to reload. Is heading towards this Baron area. 10 seconds until that will spawn. And Winged and Che up there to clear out all ward coverage in the area. There comes Baron, the giant purple worm, slithering his way into little hidey hole. He pops up and might just go down there. A lot of damage to come in here. This is it. Longzhu walking forward. Great opportunities to land arrows or...
There was no reason to have Sohwan here with the team. He could easily have been trying to find for a flank. And having him with the team, you really have to question what they're doing. Because at this point, you saw Longzhu almost walk into it before. They almost gave him a free flank at the previous Baron. And here again, they would have done it as well. Because if you look at their vision, it's not actually that deep. And even if they saw a flank teleport coming, it wouldn't have been that good because it would have forced them to funnel into their red and wraiths, which perfectly lines up for Teddy's Jinul.
Fury there in the mid lane, stopping the super minions from pushing in, and like you said earlier, that big wave in the bottom working for Longzhu, continuing to build up and push in. But JINAIR back onto this Baron buff. They deal so much damage, but can Longzhu find the positioning that they need? JINAIR now trying to back away there. They're gonna get caught here. There's the arrow in onto Wing, the suppression as well. Wing will get taken out. He's down, and with no jungler, will JINAIR have what they need to continue fighting this fight? Kuzan getting beset there by Crash in the backline, kicks him away there, but getting locked up there by the gravity field. Pass forced to flash, and now it's a champion down for JINAIR, but Longzhu, the ones maybe on the Baron, they will be on it there. Not a whole lot to stop them. Ultimate's a little bit of a dire strait there for JINAIR. They will have to deal with Expression. He's going to teleport in, and the Baron goes down. Crash finishes it off, and now it's JINAIR to run spot, but he's by himself, and Teddy crits him down. Expression is out of there, probably the hardest member of Longzhu to kill, and he dies without ulting.
What is he doing, though? It doesn't make any sense. You just got the Baron. You have a lane to fix in top lane. You had a giant minion wave pushing down mid. They were down their jungler, which is their primary tank. And you're like, yeah, you know, I think today's a good day to die. As he runs into Victor and Jin, it doesn't make any sense. And so JINAIR gets more breathing room yet again.
He's got to take that 007 lesson and die another day, but he's going to die right there. Teddy just crits him down.
I mean, you know what it is he wanted a teddy bear as a kid, and he never got one.
He never got it.
So he's like, you're mine now.
He takes the souls of his enemies. Oh my god, if he played Annie, if he was like an Annie main, that's
he's
the
that
name.
creepy kid from 10.
Oh my god, the analogies. Oh my, maybe I can see an argument that Expression didn't expect to take that much burst from Teddy, but I mean, come on, it's a real true 6-item Jin. Now that gravity field's actually pretty sick there, and his Crash walks forward, looking for more.
I just want to point out right now that JINAIR is bringing the fight to the Baron team, which is that's pretty funny.
I honestly couldn't tell just by looking. If there was a bug and I couldn't see the Baron buff, I wouldn't be able to tell who has it.
Another thing is the healing that comes out of Teddy's auto attacks is gigantic. The guy is healing like 200 or 300 or something per auto. That's absolutely gigantic.
And you just won't be able to fight him if you're Crash trying to get on him. He just doesn't care. He just does too much damage at this point. I don't know what to say. Even Sohwan up there at 6 items of his own. He's a 0-4 Kennen, and he's at 6 items. That's where we are in this game.
Yep. And not every day that you get supports going to 6 items.
That's where we're going. That needlessly large rod on Pure, looking to put out a bunch of damage of his own. Could maybe hit a few more supportive items, like he doesn't have a Mikhail's Crucible, if that's an item that he might want to buy, but we'll see.
Oh no, not like
Expression.
this.
Okay, well he's going to get into this Elder Dragon. Now this is an Elder Dragon that has actually a bazillion HP accounted. That's the exact figure, but we'll see if they can take it down. Longzhu on it, below half HP, the tidal wave going forward, but it did reset. It's healing in the pit, but will they be able to take it down? Crash tries to go back in. That's not where you want to be. Elder Drake so low. Wing looks like he's going to take it down. The spike price good for JINAIR. And it's going to be Wing to take it down. Now Crash, can he get out? No, he goes back in. What?
What?
If he doesn't make it out of here, that's the struggle. He won't.
It's Teddy to hug him to death.
Well, so the teddy bear does hug back.
How the tides have turned.
And now, I mean, they're charging up mid lane, and Longzhu's Baron not doing what it wanted to, and it's about to expire, so they are going to lose all the stats from that, and the minions are not going to be buffed up. So we're about to actually see the minions just drop their Baron buff and be like, yeah, we're not actually on your side.
I'm hearing the Street Fighter announcement asking me, will the tides of battle turn? Because it certainly looks like they have been all game long. That crit on Pierce is absolutely destroying him, almost dying just from that Deathfire touch off the side. Now Wing, though, actually gonna die there in his Guardian Angel. He's going to revive there, but there's not too much time left here for Longzhu. The turrets are falling, but the damage is there. Teddy with some big bullets to fire. Not gonna be able to finish that ult, and JINAIR are pushed back.
This game is never ending.
This is the game that never ends. If you guys watch Sherry Lewis, you guys can sing the song, but the push does continue here. Or does it, LS? I can't tell.
I mean, the most bizarre thing here is that they went for kills that they didn't need to do because of how much damage Jin and Victor deal to turrets. You have a Lich Bane, you have a Jin. You can just completely destroy the turret, and yet they kept trying to fight and cast a Jin ultimate, and it just doesn't make any sense.
It just doesn't make any sense. It's, I need you guys to like Photoshop a motivational poster of that with LS's face, because I feel like that's just the description of the last, like, what, 20, 30 minutes? It's a 61-minute game. Over 30 kills coming in here, and we have a lot more to play. It looks like if one of these teams doesn't find a definitive advantage, but at this point, LS, I don't know what a definitive advantage looks like. Like, what more do they need?
Well, that seems to be the question of Longzhu ever since LCK Summer. And, I mean, just seeing them lose this game is really mind-boggling because of the advantages that they had and how simple it should have been for them to close it out. Remember, this is a team that at one point was up 2 Barons and an Elder Dragon with an inhibitor down. And now here we are, fast forward to 62.5 minutes, and Sohwan's taking the role.
The shoe, as it were, is on the other foot, LS. That is Sohwan now taking the role that Expression had earlier, and he's the one now pushing, poking the open inhibitor. Bottom lane as well, with a big minion wave for JINAIR. They know, and they're splitting Longzhu perfectly. Swing and a miss there on the arrow. Crash trying to get back to the back line. He's going to get locked up there in the back, but look at the huge ult from Sohwan on top of everyone. The lightning strikes, but it's going to actually take Wing down. Sohwan now dead as well. It's a 2-for-2 exchange. Expression's still up there in the front line. He's going to try to ult and stay alive. Shay dropping down. Longzhu, a double for Fury, and they will chase on to Teddy and Kuzan, but they've got the damage for their team. Is it enough? Expression walks forward. He's going to get taken down. His Guardian Angel popped. Will he be able to make it out alive? These are the two super strong carries. Yes. Will they be able to get dethroned? It's a 2v3, and it looks even.
Oh my god. Those are the last 2 champions that you don't want to be fighting if you're Longzhu. Oh no. Wait.
Oh no. The turret, it's alive. It's alive for now. Is it savable? Pure saves the bottom turret, which will regenerate. We are a moment of silence for the death of 2 casters here. We're about to feel a second watch.
Yeah, so okay, it looked like Crash at the very start of that team fight had crashed, but he actually goes down, but it wasn't completely in vain as Sohwan and Wing just ended up getting deleted. So even though Sohwan got that super nice ultimate, it wasn't enough, and Longzhu actually remained steadfast in that fight, and they almost completely turned it around, but unfortunately for them, the last 2 champions standing at the end of the day were Victor and Jin, who just happened to say, no, I'm going to kill you if you try to kill us.
At this point, Teddy and Kuzan, you saw that at the end of the fight, the 2v3, they actually just deal so much damage. When they follow the advice to reach out and touch someone, you're not making it out of there alive. Now JINAIR, once again, back on Baron. Here comes Expression into the pit. He's going to be forced to ult away there. Pushing JINAIR off for now. Baron's still aggroed, but it has yet to drop below half HP. It will. Thanks to some very strong carries there. Here comes Crash. It's now or never. All on it, but it's Winged that wins the Baron fight. Now Crash will go down there in the back lines, and Longzhu junglerless. And with base turrets going down there, Expression has to save it, and it will!
The minions are trying to tell Longzhu, look guys, we've had enough. They're trying to end the game right now.
At some point, minions just get so strong the game ends. We're almost there, 65 minutes in, 41 kills deep. Wing now forward of his team, very tanky, and now Expression taking so much damage. I think this is it for JINAIR if they just walk on this Nexus. It's been 65 minutes, but now the win in their side. Sohwan forcing the flash out of Fury, but Longzhu trying to mount a comeback. Expression gets in, gets out. Frozen now very low, he's forced to flash away there. Expression trying to get back to the backline onto Kuzan. He's in and out once again. Now Wings is gonna die there at the end, and now both teams without a jungler. Oh my god! Oh my god, the damage! It's too real right now. Expression trying once again to get in, but he's gonna go down there. Teddy's hugging everyone. Can he find these final kills there? The lockdown onto Pure. He's back on the fountain, and on the fountain he will stay. JINAIR Green Wings take a 66-minute win to secure their trip to the quarterfinals. And for Longzhu, it's a long journey home after an incredibly hard-fought game. It's JAG that come out on TOP.
That was such an ending right there. That Jin damage was absolutely insanity.
That's why they call it the JINAIR Green Wings, LS.
I see what you did there. Oh my god. What a performance though from JINAIR to actually hold on as long as they did and come back in such a way. And right now we're looking at the endgame damage on the other screen, and you guys can't see it right here, but we will certainly tweet it out or something. Jin and Victor are, I don't even know what they are. They're two gigantic mountains. They're like two Mount Everests right next to each other. And that was just absolutely amazing. Unfortunately for Longzhu, they will be knocked out of the tournament. They still will obviously return in LCK Summer, but still clearly a lot of work to do because they are incapable of actually playing a macro game, it seems.
You guys watching, you have friends that didn't watch this game. You go tell them what they missed out on as we head on stage with the manager represented from JINAIR Green Wings, who will be drawing their head coach will be drawing their seed for next round. Of course, you can see there the result on your screen: a 2-1 victory for JINAIR Green Wings. And you can see what JINAIR's head coach draws. He breaks open the giant red ball. It's Group 8. If I'm not mistaken, that's the group with the Rocks Tigers.
Yeah, I believe that is the Rocks Tigers group indeed, and so that's not something you want to have drawn.
There it is, JAG playing Rocks Tigers down there in the quarterfinal matchups. So the question to their coach is, what did you think about that match? Our AD carry and mid were like Faker and Bang today, and we are going to take this momentum to the Rocks Tigers when we play them in the quarterfinals.
느낌이 나셨다고 하니까 좀 자신이 있으실 것 같은데 대진은 어떻게 마음에 드시나요?
네, 작년에 락타이즈가 8강에서 진 기억이 있거든요.
So what did you think of the Rocks Tigers matchup now that you know they're who you're going to play it? He says, yeah, we met them in the round of 8 last year, so we have nothing to lose. We'll take our chances.
김혜원 선수가 2대1 스코어로 승리했다는 소식 전해드리겠습니다. 잠시 후 저는 12강 네 번째 경기 아프리카 트리스와 MVP 경기로 다시 돌아오겠고요. 지금 중계석에서는 승리를 거둔
We'll be heading over here for the MVP interview very shortly, so I'm excited about this. Hope you guys are too. An incredible game. We'll be heading over here right now to the MVP interview. It's going to be with the mid laner Kuzan. We'll have a chance to ask him a few questions. So our final MVP will be Kuzan. What's being said right now? They'll say, we'll ask, you must have a lot to say, so how do you feel right now, Kuzan?
알죠? 무슨 말인지. 그 느낌이 페이커급의 후장의 느낌이 나셨다. 어감이 좀 이상했네요. 그래서
kind of at a loss for words. No surprise there. We'll see how he feels.
감사합니다. 감독님이 그랬어요.
Kuzan saying, yeah, he's very happy with the result, and thanks for the compliments.
본인의 플레이도 좋았었습니다만 팀원들의 호흡들도 굉장히 빛을 발했던 순간이 많았던 것 같아요. 오늘 가장 기억 남았던 경기 순간이라면 언제였나요?
So what was the most memorable moment from that last map? Kuzan saying that's the Baron's steal was definitely the most memorable moment for him.
All right, my question for Kuzan is, what was it like to play such a long game? Did you feel comfortable or were you nervous about losing?
사실 긴 경기 얘기를 안 나올 수가 없어요. 해외 중계진도 아마 이것들이 궁금했을 것 같은데 긴 경기 했을 때 집중력을 유지하는 게 쉽지가 않잖아요. 그러니까 어떤 생각을 갖고 하는지도 궁금할 것 같고 그거를 유지하는 방법이란 마지막에 갔었을 때 좀 이 장면에 대한 것들 집중하면 좋다 하는 뭐 팁이 있다면 어떤 것들이 있을까요?
So Kuzan now replying to my question. See what he says. He says, you know, there's not much else to pay attention to. Just focus on paying attention and dealing as much damage as you can, and that's about
예전에
it.
이 질문을 똑같이 썼어요. 페이커 선수한테.
Real
네, 역시 페이커
/r/Korean advice. Trying to tell us exactly how to win games. You guys heard it here first. That's how you do it. So we've got a couple more questions coming Kuzan's way. This is where he reveals super secrets of how to make it to the quarterfinals. Korean casters asking, so when did you feel like that match was turning back into your favor? Kuzan saying, the moment where we were able to stop the Echo from split pushing, then we started thinking about getting the Baron and the victory after that, once they knew that they could stop Expression. Also talking about the AD carries, or mid laners, asking about those. Kuzan saying that he's sharing the compliments. He's pointing and saying, as the Longzhu team walks by us, he actually pointed at the team and say that, yeah, those guys have a lot of skills and a very impressive debut for Teddy as their AD carry. And for Kuzan kind of getting back in the saddle, asking Kuzan now about his Victor, how he felt about that champion. So I guess now we're asking what he wants to say to the fans. It's been a while since we've seen the JINAIR Green Wings, so what does he have to say? So Kuzan saying, you know, this hasn't been the best year for us, but we were playing in the KeSPA Cup and making sure that we can soar higher for next year. Now we're bringing in Teddy. This is the new guy on the JINAIR Green Wings roster. A surprise interview with their new ADC. So this was his JINAIR debut match, so there must have been a lot of pressure. What do you think about this match today? Teddy says, saying it was pretty hard. It was a pretty hard debut.
아무래도 이제 룰러 선수의 활약에 대해서 혹시 테디 선수가 어느 정도 좀 라이벌 의지라는 경쟁에서 있는지 그거 좀 궁금합니다.
Another question coming in saying another rising rookie AD carry, kind of like Ruler was last year. What do you think about that? Teddy says no, he doesn't think that's a good comparison. Man of a few words. So let's see what our final questions are. They're directed at Kuzan or Teddy. Konkwi, our Nice Game TV caster, saying, hey, nice, thanks for all the great games in Challengers Korea, because that's where he's actually been casting Teddy playing, most recently on Ever 8 Winners. So asking for a comment there for other Challengers Korea players, and Teddy actually just saying, work hard and good things will happen. Good things will happen if you try hard. So last question. So you know there are a lot of teammates and coaching staff that helped out in today's games. Anything more than 2 words that you'd like to say to thank them?
아이 좋았습니다.
Teddy says, I'm happy for a good debut and I'll try harder. Finally got more than 2 words out of him. So a great finish to this game. Great finish to this series for the JINAIR Green Wings. Congratulations to them. We'll be back in 30 minutes while we desperately try to take stock of what on earth happened that game. So get your Twitter analysis ready. We'll be back in just a little bit for the Africa Freaks versus MVP.
You were gone so fast, I want you back. You were a comet, and I lost it. Watching for comets, will I see you again? You're I can't stop thinking about you. Wanting you this way, I can't face living without you. That's why I'm searching night and day. This heart's a lonely hunter. These hands are frozen fists. I can't stop thinking about you. I don't care if you exist. Do I hear laughter from behind this veil of midnight? What are you hiding in the frozen heart of winter? Somewhere a church bell tolls. I know you're close, the scent's still warm.